So Plasma 6 to 8 has been released in your state, but what's the most efficient way to get there? This is part 3 of a 3-part series on how to get to maximum Plasma 8 buildings and research efficiently. In this episode, we will focus on weekly Plasma income. In the previous episode, we were discussing costs in terms of time and money, and we relate it in terms of our stockpile. In most of the older states, you would already have some plasma stockpiled, because as you know, it has been a while since you had anything to spend plasma on. And you're probably like me, as soon as you heard Plasma 6 to 8 was on the horizon, you started saving up plasma cores. If you don't have a stockpile, then you would be relying on your weekly plasma income. In the previous episodes, we have discussed the foundations of everything. We've seen how much time and plasma cores it would take to convert regular plasma cores into polymers, and oh boy, was it a lot. So in this episode, we would be focusing on plasma income and how we could use that knowledge for our purification strategy. To recap, we are going back to this table. This was introduced in the second episode, and this table contains the number of purifications performed, the heats, the total polymers per run, and the number of consumed plasma cores. If you've seen the previous episodes, you're intimately familiar with this table. You've also seen how to derive the number of plasma cores and the time needed based on the target number of polymers that you want to produce. Here's that table again. If this table does not make sense, then please check out the previous episode. Taking that table, we will expand on that by examining some configurations. And here's what I had in mind. To understand that table, first, let's look at the first 3 columns. We have plan, required polymers, and required plasma. The plan column describes the upgrade plan. The first one is to upgrade all plasma buildings to Plasma 8, assuming you're max Plasma 5 now. The second plan is what I will personally do, rush to Plasma 8 Institute. The third plan shows how much plasma and polymers you will need to finish all research. The fourth is the Plasma 8 Institute and research, while the fifth is everything. And the next column shows the various heat levels. Again, you don't have to stop exactly at those heat, you can stop before that. Just don't forget that if you cross heat brackets, the cost would blow up significantly. Let's look at the heat 20 columns. Under that, there's plasma and weeks. If you keep purifying up to heat 20 every week, this means that in the first plan, you will need a total of 16.2 thousand plasma cores to produce the 772 polymers, plus the 8,780 plasma cores required to upgrade old buildings to Plasma 8. If you go down the table, you can see how the cost in time and plasma would increase accordingly. This is the same for the other heat columns. If you stop at those heat levels, you could expect the plasma cost to go up, but the time required would drastically go down. Now look at all of those ridiculous numbers and let that sink for a moment. If you're Plasma 5 or if you have started working on Plasma 6, what I want you to do is to look at your inventory and check how much plasma and polymers you have. Then compare that against that table. This would give you a rough idea of how much more you will need to get. If you somehow had 50k plasma laying around, then great. You have enough plasma cores to finish all P8 buildings and researches. But after 84.3 weeks, that's over a year and 7 months. But of course, who wants to wait that long, right? If you went to the next bracket and stopped at 35 heat every week, you shorten that time to 45.4 weeks. That's a bit over 10 months. Not bad. But that pushes the plasma costs out to 68,000. That means if you only have 50,000 now, you would need to raise an additional 18,000 plasma cores within those 10 months. That's around 1.8 thousand plasma cores per month. Depending on how much you spend, the events that come out and the special bundles that come out, that might be possible, right? But I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not going to plan it for you. I won't even talk about the higher heats. The costs are astronomical if you try to keep up with the purification speed. So instead, we have to look at our weekly plasma cores income and purify according to that. Again, as mentioned, I have no idea what special events and bundles come out. I haven't been recording them long enough, so I am not intimately familiar with the rotation. I did try taking note of the bundles that we have had for the last fortnight. There's a few things that I know for sure. Plasma Lab now comes every week in my state. The regular Plasma Cores bundle, I think, refreshes every 2 or 3 days, but in this video I'll just assume 2 days. Then we have the free plasma from Daily Intel and Daily Rewards crates. We have seen this new event called the Plasma Leakage event, which seems to come out every fortnight or every 2 weeks. We also have the Custom Plasma Breakthrough crates, which seems to come out every 2 weeks as well. A lot of these things are dependent on your schedule or on your state maturity and your situation. There are several other bundles that would appear based on context. So it's hard planning it out, laying it out right now. This is something that you would have to do on your end. But before we go on to all of those other bundles, let's focus on Plasma Lab for a little bit, and specifically the Plasma crates. And as you know, this also involves a bit of luck. It's like lottery all over again. There's also a probability table for this, and here it is. We have the free-to-play option up top. Basically, you can get 5 packs with 4 cores each. And then we have the rest of the paid options. Sure, you could stockpile your discarded components by doing all of the free-to-play stuff or purchasing with biocaps. But let's assume that you have to pay to get all of them for now. So the interesting part is that the paid bundles in Plasma Lab come with plasma crates. It's those boxes where the number of plasma cores inside it is random. Random, but based on probabilities. So I computed the mean distribution based on the probabilities, and that's the table that I'm showing you right now. You can check my work if you want, but otherwise all you need to look at are the columns in green. All of the paid bundles have the same price to plasma ratio except for the Lucky Bundle, which only contains plasma crates and no plasma cores. And it is aptly named because it is largely dependent on luck. But statistically speaking, it is one of the worst packages from Plasma Lab. Just slightly worse. Again, looking at the table, the worst one is the Epic, then the Lucky, then everything else. So if you want to get the most out of your money, avoid Epic. Then maybe use your excess discarded components on the Lucky Bundle. In any case, the Plasma Lab bundles give you 11.58 to 12.8 plasma cores on average per US dollar. Compare that to the regular plasma core bundle. Well, I'm in Australia, so this is in Australian dollars. The plasma cores per dollar figure on that is horrendous. So it's just a measly 4 plasma cores per dollar. Avoid that if you can. And to think they even tried to give us a better deal compared to the original bundle, you know, giving twice the amount, I guess. But it still sucks at 4 per dollar. And that brings me to this table. I tried laying out the regular plasma cores that come out for free-to-play players. There might be more regular bundles, but you know, it depends on what comes out for you. I can't remember their schedule off the top of my head. These are the only ones that I've recorded so far. So please let me know down in the comments if there are any other bundles that you would like me to compute the price, the plasma cores over price ratio. If you're completely free to play and assuming you get around 15 plasma cores per Intel on day on average, that's the worst actually. I think it's quite easy to get 21 now. But anyway, let's stick to 15. That's the absolute worst. As a free-to-play player, you would be able to get 207 plasma cores every week on average. Since we are producing 207 plasma cores every week, we could plot that into one of our earlier tables where we have the number of plasma cores we could purify, and we wanted to figure out how many polymers we could get out of it. From 207 plasma cores, if you stick 220 heat, that would produce around 22 polymerized plasma. At 35 heat, it would also be 22 polymers. At 50, that would be 18, and 70, that would be 14. The main reason the numbers are quite similar in range is mainly because of the number of plasma cores that you have. You are limited by the number of plasma cores. So in this case, going to 20 is no different than going to 35, and you may as well just stick to 20. But let's say apart from the free plasma that you get every day, maybe you went for the first 2 packages from Plasma Lab. That would be the common and uncommon packages. This would now push your plasma cores production per week to 400 plasma cores per week. And doing that, you are spending around $30 every week. Now, if we plot 400 into that other table again, it shows us that it now takes 42 polymers at either 20 or 35 heat. If you think about it, these numbers are misleading because technically you could not go all the way down to 50 or even 70 heat because you would already have run out of plasma cores by then. So let's go for a larger number. Let's say you are a decent spender. Okay, no more sugar coating. Let's say you're a pay-to-win player. Let's say you were doing all of the free plasma cores per week. Maybe you heard my advice on Plasma Lab and avoided Epic. So you're doing Lucky, Common, Uncommon, Rare. And let's say you were doing Custom Plasma Breakthrough every week as well. That pushes your total number of plasma cores per week up to 1,277. Plugging that in our previous table again, this now gives us a better spread. If you stop at 20 heat per week, it would take you 3.2 weeks to process 1 week's worth of plasma income, and that would yield you 134 total plasma from all of that. If you stopped at the next bracket, which is 35, this would require less than 2 weeks, and it would produce 133 polymers in total. But at this rate, you're still producing more plasma cores than you are consuming. Ergo, you still have a net positive plasma cores income. Going to 50 heat means you are consuming more plasma cores than you are producing. We see that the time needed now is 0.9 and the total polymers yielded is 112. So I think in this specific scenario, the best place to stop would be somewhere between 35 to 50 heat. As long as you don't consume all of the plasma cores that you have gained this week within a single week of purification, then you're good. So in conclusion, the main takeaway that you should get from this 3-part series is that you should take a look at your weekly plasma income and base your decision on how you would spend your purification strategy around that figure. Please play smart. P.S. You might also see a variation of this package. This one is 16.8 cores per US dollar. All of the versions of this package have the same cores to price ratio, so go for it. This is a much better deal than the custom plasma breakthrough crates, and you also get bio caps. You know, what's a better deal than that? Except maybe Lucky Card, but that's another discussion. Thanks for watching, and if there's anything else you wanted to know, any statistics, any mathematics behind this, just let me know down in the comments. Hopefully I get to read your comments, but if not, I'll see you around. Hopefully in game. Maybe in SVS or Reservoir Raid. Yeah, that would be fun. See ya!